Welcome back to Fruitful Living. I'm Dawn, and today we begin our final phase of the garden audit, pruning for the future. We've checked our soil and cleared the pests. Now we have to look where we've become overgrown. Today we're talking about the overgrowth of people-pleasing. It's that tangled mess of yeses and the constant need for others to be happy with us. People pleasers are frequently seen as selfless, kind, or generous, but inside, they may be fighting deep insecurities and are convinced that approval means they are valued. But wait, you might be thinking, people pleasers are kind. They're being selfless, just like Matthew describes Jesus in Acts 10:38, where he went about doing good and healing all. But we have to recognize the difference. The difference between Jesus' unselfish service and the motive of a people-pleasing person. Jesus lived to glorify and obey God. He said exactly what needed to be said, even when it led to his death. Jesus was the opposite of a people pleaser. In a garden, if a vine grows too wildly in every direction, it becomes heavy and tangled. It stops producing fruit because its energy is spread too thin. People pleasing is exactly like that, overgrown. We must recognize that our people pleasing urge is a sin. When we are motivated to do something to be valued by others, to seek others' approval, we are no longer living to glorify God. In John chapter 12, verse 43, John is describing the religious leaders and says, "For they loved the praise of men more than the praise of God." And further along in John, in chapter 19, he tells of Nicodemus and Joseph of Arimathea, who were keeping their faith secret to please their religious leaders. When our motives are driven by being liked, having the approval of others, or being popular, we have switched gods. Idolatry is a sin. When we are more concerned with the approval of others or being well liked instead of living to glorify God. Exodus chapter 20, verse 3. You shall have no other gods before me. It's the habit of saying yes when you should say no, just to avoid a frown. It can feel like a pit in your stomach that someone is disappointed with you because you said no. When we're overgrown with people pleasing, we are living for an audience of many instead of an audience of the one. We become a slave to the opinions of others, and we lose the energy we need to do what God actually called us to do. Today's great exchange is swapping the fear of man for the strength of God's approval. We are cutting away the dead weight of what do they think and replacing it with what does God say? Let's get into the word. Galatians chapter 1, verse 10. For do I now persuade men or God? Or do I seek to please men? For if I still pleased men, I would not be a bondservant of Christ. Paul knew that you can't have two masters. If you are a servant of everyone's opinion, you cannot be a fully devoted servant of Jesus. And Proverbs 29:25 gives us the result of this exchange. The fear of man brings a snare, but whoever trusts in the Lord shall be safe. Proverbs 16:7. When a man's way pleases the Lord, he makes even his enemies to be at peace with him. Let's look at 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 15. Be diligent to present yourself approved to God, a worker who does not need to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. Let's break down this verse. Be diligent to present yourself approved to God. What Paul is explaining to Timothy here is that we should be active to give ourselves to God as approved. The work we are doing, we should not be ashamed. And rightly dividing the word of truth, or rightly handling the word of truth, which is the scripture. We are not to seek the approval of anyone besides the Lord. Here's your 60-second garden task for today. I want you to identify one yes you've given lately that was based on fear, not on God's leading. Practice a confident no. You don't need a long excuse. Simply say, I'm not able to take that on right now. As you say it, pray, Lord, I am pruning back the need for their approval. I choose to stand strong in your love alone. My value is not found in what I do for others, but in who I am to you. Let's look at 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 18. For not he who commends himself is approved, but whom the Lord commends. Here, Paul is explaining that there is no need to praise or brag about yourself and your approval, but the important thing is for the Lord to praise you. Let's finish with Isaiah chapter 41, verse 10. Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. Yes, I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. Thank you for being here with me today for day 8 of the Garden Audit. I hope you feel the freedom of being a little lighter today. Join me tomorrow for episode 9, where we tackle the fungus of control. Until then, stay fruitful.